Morning! So we are coming to the end of the third week of Bojack's pen of shame. So today I wanted to give him a full bath as if he was going to a show, because he's been having a few tidy ups through the lockdown, but he's really quite dirty now, and as you can see his pen, it's just dirt. So we're going to give him a full show prep bath today. As always, I'm on my own, so I'm going to set up the camera on the fence and then I'm going to voice this over later. So let's get into it. So hey there, first of all, I have sped up most of this video because I tend to spend 2 to 3 hours bathing Bojack, and that would take a really long time. So first of all, I'm going to take the braids out of his tail. His tail has been braided up out of the way because he's got a bit of an upset tummy at the moment, just from the kind of stress and upset of being on box rest. I'm then going to soak through his feathers, tie that tail up out of the way, and then I'm going to really soak through these feathers, and then I'm going to work in my Shapley's Medicare shampoo. So there is a link in the description below to my blog, and I will link every product I use in there. So the reason I use Medicare first on his feathers is because feathers can hide a lot. There's a lot going on in there. You can really trap nasties. So I always use a bit of Medicare first because it's antiseptic, antifungal, antiseptic, that might be wrong, antibacterial and antifungal, definitely. So basically what it's doing is it's getting right down to the skin, and it's also nice and soothing as well. So if there are any irritations, it's a really nice way to kind of clean them up. I also find it does have it's a bit of a degreaser, whether it's meant to be or not, but it does help get rid of some of the grease that you'll get in feathers. I'm then going to use a bit of that on his mane too, because his mane is, again, it's so thick, a lot gets in there, and I want to make sure that if there's any nasties hiding away in all this thick fur, I want to keep on top of it. Just while that's setting in, I'm then going to wash out his tail, and then I use my Shapley's Equitone in black on his tail. And now this smells amazing. It smells of licorice, and I just love using this. So I'm just using it on his tail today. If we were going to an actual competition, I'd use it all over his body, but I tend to save my Equitones for days that we're actually going to be going to a proper show. I'm then going to give him a bath over his body. Again, I've left that Medicare on the legs just to kind of settle in, and then I'm going to use my Shapley's High Shine, and I'm using my Hass wash brush, which has got a sponge in the middle, to really scrub that in to his body. So I do really love the High Shine. It does give, as you may think from the name, a really awesome high shine. So I do use this at competitions as well, but sometimes when I really want to bring out the black and the brown tones, I will use his Equitone. And as you can see, I'm never afraid to get in there and give his face a nice scrub, because he does get quite a dirty face, and I think it's just because the white makes it look so dirty. Then I'm going to rinse off his mane and his body. It's a lovely hot day, so I don't scrape him off. I'm just going to leave that to slowly evaporate away, and that will help keep him cool as well. And then I'll be moving back to the legs and tail. So as I say, if I was going to a competition or a proper show, then I would most likely do a pre-wash and then a full wash of the body, but I've just done the one today. I'm then moving on to his legs, and as I go round, I rinse one at a time, and then I use my Shapley's Equitone, and this is the whitening one, and I will use this once or twice, it depends. He's got some quite persistent staining on his back legs, again because he's just got a bit of an upset tummy at the moment, so sometimes the back legs I will need to Equitone a couple of times to get it back to as white as possible. But this is another one you want to really scrub it in, you want to really get in there, and then you want to leave it for a good 10 minutes just to just to kind of soak in, and it helps really bring out it helps the toning action take effect. And while that Equitone is on his legs, I'm just going to pop some of the Shapley's conditioner. I always forget the name, but I think it's a Touch of Elegance. I'm going to pop that on his mane and his tail, and then knot up his tail out of the way. I use this conditioner just because Bojack does have quite wiry hair, and it does help. It doesn't soften it much, but it stops that really wiry feeling. I then tend to just potter about for 5 or 10 minutes. Pay attention to dogs, poodle about. Just, as I say, you want to leave that equitone on for as long as possible. So in the summer I can leave it on for quite a long time. In the winter I tend to be sat clock watching because I don't want him to get cold. But then as soon as I'm happy that that's kind of set in, I'm going to rinse those legs off. So as I'm rinsing off, you can see on the back legs there is a little bit of staining in there. As I said, if I was going to a competition, I would do 1 or 2 coats of this. The staining, it can't be helped. He is really messy behind at the moment. So unfortunately, that's just, I've just got to get used to it. So when I've rinsed out the whitener, I'm then going to pop in some of the conditioner. Again, I want to keep his feathers as silky as possible. I then use my comb to just brush through. I always like to brush through when they're wet and they've got conditioner on, because first of all you make sure you're getting the conditioner in, and it also means that as the feathers dry they won't be all knotted and tangled and stuff, and this can also help pull out a lot of that loose hair that's kind of got snarled up in there. So I always like to get in and make sure I'm brushing that out. I then used a finer tooth comb there just to go through, because he gets malanders in front and he has a few bits of flaky skin patching behind. I go through with, and it's literally just a knit comb from the chemist. It's a really fine tooth comb, nice and gently going through his feathers to make sure I'm getting rid of any of those issues. Then I'm going to rinse off that conditioner. You can see that little bit of staining there, but again, we're not competing at the moment. I'm not too worried. Again, if I was competing, I'd make sure I got all of that out. Now I'm going to give his tail a good spritz of my magic sheen, and then I'm going to brush it through, and then I am going to plait that up out of the way, just to try and keep it as clean as possible. Because it's summer, I'm going to put a few plaits in, because I want to make sure he's got a good fly swat. If I do one plait, I feel like you're kind of taking away their natural fly protection. No judgment on people that do, that's just my own reasoning there. So I'm going to pop a few plaits in here. I think I did 3. So if this was competition prep, I would normally do just one big plait, because I don't want the tail to be too crinkly, and I would also do it really super loose for competitions, because again, I don't want his tail to look super mega crinkly. I just want it to be loosely plaited to keep dirt and shavings and stuff out. I'm now going to tidy up his mane. So Bojack is growing out from a hogged mane. Sorry, forgot how to speak there. And he was last hogged out in October. It's now July when I filmed this. So I used a bit of Shapley's MTG because he has a few like bald patches, and I also want to help encourage growth. I'm also trying to get it to lay on the correct side, so I'm just plaiting it down today too. So the MTG, now they do say on the side it can grow up to 3 inches in a month or 3 months or something like that. So my review of the MTG is I love it. I do use it at least once a week on his mane, but what I would say about it is I would say that it thickens more than it helps grow. But that's a big thing for me, because I think if it's thicker there's more protection and there's less chance of it all like falling out really easily, or if a little bit's rubbed out it won't be as noticeable. So I've definitely noticed, I mean, he already has a double mane, so I don't use MTG more than once a month on the top half of his mane, but as you can see, the lower part that I'm plaiting now, it's quite thin from where literally just after winter I was grooming him, and it came out in a handful, just this big chunk of mane, and isn't even where his rug lays. So I have no idea what happened there. But anyway, so there's the MTG, and then I'm going to plait down to try and keep his mane under control. And then after that I'm going to spritz some magic sheen through his feathers. So these will now be pretty silky smooth feathers, and easy to look after for the next week or 2. So that's my video on how I get Bojack competition ready. I'm really sorry, I always think I've got fluff on my nose. I always forget to film at the end. as well. I'm so sorry. Filming vlogs where I'm in it and having to talk to camera is a little out of I wouldn't say my comfort zone, but I'm still not quite used to it. So sorry if this vlog didn't flow as well as you'd like to. If there's any part of the video I've done that you'd like to see in a little more depth, because I'm aware I have sped through it quite quickly, please do pop that below in the comments. As I said, there'll be links in the description. And if you've enjoyed this, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. And if you like, make that bell ring so that every time I add a video in future, you will get a notification. So I hope you found this useful. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope to see you all again soon. Bye!